Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Real Music. Are you ready for another awesome interview? Well, I've got the 80s pop sensation. Tiffany is here, and she's still a sensation after all these years. She had an album out in 2022 called Shadows, an awesome rockin' album. I talked to her right at the beginning of that release in 2022, but now she's back once again talking about everything, of course, music and her cooking. She's been doing cooking shows, a cookbook. She's got a tour coming up, kind of going retro, some other interesting things that we chat about. And go to her website and see all that she's doing. A lot of exciting things going on. And had a great talk as always. But here we go. Here she is. Here's Tiffany. Very
Hello.
good. How are you?
I am good. I am good. Life has been crazy here in Nashville because it's been the weather all over. So yeah, I live outside of Nashville, probably about 40 minutes in the real country,
Yeah.
and they don't salt or grit or do anything out here, so we're helpless. Um, and was stuck in the house for a week, kept pushing back my flight to Texas, which was a pretty big show for me with Kansas and REO
Oh, yeah.
Speedway, Alan Parsons. And so, of course, it was a really big deal. And, just drama happened, of course. But we finally got there, and then we finally got back. But yesterday I thought I could get out and about and do all my running around and check on my phone and fix all of that. But no, there was still ice
Huh.
on the road. And my Range Rover has a wiring problem. So it's in the shop. That's the only car that I have that'll do anything in the snow. And the rest is my van, two-wheel drive. So I wasn't even gonna take a chance. I was like, no, thank you.
I don't blame you. That I'm down here in South Alabama, so but we didn't get any snow. We got a few flurries, but we would have been on the side of the road because we're not used to snow around here, so we would have ended up in a ditch or something. But I guess it all
Yeah.
worked out for the better.
I had this feeling, don't even try it yesterday. My brother-in-law, he has a four-wheel drive and he had a hard time coming up my private drive. He was like, yeah, it's not thawing
Yeah.
out yet. If I don't think it's a good thing for you. So I just stayed put yesterday, but that of course led to chaos this morning. I was out and about and this morning it was still icy, but now we've had so much rain, it just melted it away. So
Okay.
now
Well,
they tell me in the next 4 days we might have tornadoes. Cross fingers, no.
that sounds like our weather down here because it was in the 20s, and today it's going to be in the 70s. It was in the 20s a few days ago. There were tornadoes last week. There's been we have hurricanes, we have snow, we have tornadoes, we have it's too hot, it's too cold, but this is Alabama, so but you're right above us, so you know what I'm
It,
talking about.
it, it's that
It's okay
global
though.
that they tell us that is attacked.
Global global warming. That's why it's so cold. It's global warming. Okay.
Well, there's
I,
something to it. I think the
I don't.
weather has changed since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And as
Sure.
I
Sure.
travel the world, I can't help but notice that it has changed all over the world, really. So there's that, but we'll just make it through. You just got to prepare and stay
Just gotta
put when it's not safe.
just just roll with it. Keep going with it. Uh. So how did those shows go with the REO Speedwagon and Alan Parsons, and did you
Oh,
have a
it was
great time?
fantastic. It was really great. I mean, it was a great night of music for me. I only sang one song. The rest of the bands played a few 4, 5, 6 songs. So as a spectator and as a fan, it was amazing. And to get to know some of the artists was even better. And a lot of them live in Nashville. I didn't even know that. So exchanged numbers now, and I just opened up my recording studio downstairs with my fiance, Red Rancho Recordings, and we're hoping just to write and have fun and do projects here and for TV, film, for other artists, for my projects. So we'll see what comes. I being in Nashville, I based myself here really because of my son's college, Western Kentucky, but also as a songwriter. I mean, it's a great place to tour from, but really was more for songwriting. And I did that in the early, 2000s, and then took out on this adventure again of touring full
Yeah.
time and living part time in the UK. But now it's kind of I'm more grounded again in Nashville, and I'm staying put more this year, touring in clusters, and then coming back and enjoying the studio and working and writing for a few projects, which I'm really excited to be
Awesome.
working with artists, and watching them create and do their thing, and then live their dreams. It's awesome. It's kind of a way to renew yourself, really. So yeah, we're just living out of the studio right now. So it's awesome. And to know that a lot of those guys live here gives me great hope to write with them. John Elefante, who's,
Yeah,
amazing, his amazing vocalist. But of
sure.
course, this is one of my favorite bands, and Dust in the Wind is my favorite all-time song. So I got to see him sing that, and he was spot on. It sounded amazing.
Awesome. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people though in Nashville that every time I talk to somebody, well, I'm living in Nashville, like they have a house in California, but they somehow ended up in, I guess same as you move to Nashville and it's like the place to be, but that's cool. I mean, I've been there. I love it. I mean, maybe one day I'll end up there. You never know.
I,
Uh,
I gave up California. I'm a Cali girl originally, but gave it up. Moved here, gosh, a couple of times actually. I kept going back and forth, from Nashville to California. And then, I did the same thing, keep my house out there, then moved back out there full time, and then just really wanted to come back out to Nashville. I love to locate myself outside of big cities because I'm a workaholic and I always over obligate myself. So being outside of the city helps me a little bit to have a pause, and to really think if I want to do that or not. Because otherwise I just go, 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 go. I'm like, sure, stop by and we'll do this. But I love being in the country. I have 6.5 acres and I garden. I'm pretty hippy dippy do. I don't do all the diva stuff out here. You'll find me in my sweatsuits, just doing
oh,
stuff, out with my dog and my cat and my neighbors. And, it's funny, I get a kick out of a lot of my neighbors because they're like, Nashville. Well, why would I go into Nashville? Wow, that's a big city. And so I start laughing because I'm still, when it's good weather, I'm in and out all the time and use the
right,
city for bits, but then really enjoy, being out here in the country life.
sure. You can have the best of both worlds. You get tired of all that drama, you can go back home to the quiet, you know.
Exactly. And I love it. I'm a nature girl. I love to plant my plants, and working on a lot of retreats for this year for Let's Zen My Friend, which is another company I opened up. And it's more holistic living, keeping me healthy to be on the road, just inside about body balance, mindset, and soul food.
Sure.
So, yeah, I've worked with a lot of different practitioners all over the world. So put together Let's Zen My Friend, and I'm going to be doing some charity retreats here at my house to raise some money for my favorite charity, Children's Miracle Network. So getting ready for that, getting ready for
Awesome.
the good weather to come and see where it takes us.
Yes, so cool. Um, I know the last time I talked to you, it was around Thanksgiving of 2022, and you had just released Shadows, and went back and listened to that. That album should have been like one of the top albums of the year. I'm just saying that's a good album that people need to check out if they haven't heard it yet. Uh, I was hearing some I don't know, like Blondie and Pat Benatar kind of things going on. Wouldn't you say that was kind of the mood there? I mean, that's good stuff. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the vibe we were looking for, something that was modern production, but yet that 80s throwback, whatever that encompasses, like that fun, I think is really the word for 80s. Um, and uniqueness. So, my favorites are Blondie, of course, the Ramones. Gosh, I mean, I could go on and on and on. But really, I mean, that's kind of what we paired that, album to be. We did it in Rockfield in Wales, and working on it was like kind of strategic to say, look, guitar sounds, let's get that kind of 80s vibe. The melodies keep them kind of 80s, and it, as a songwriter for me, it was really easy. Like we have a pattern now how we work, and the band is in the studio and they're creating and they're doing all the music, and then I just go in with my phone and record a little bit, and then I take it to the kitchen where I'm making something for Let's Food with Tiffany and the cooking club behind the scenes, and also of course I feed the band. So I'm coming up with this mean dish, hopefully that's like, really elaborate. And they're coming up with this amazing track. So I go off and I write. And it wasn't hard on Shadows, really. There was a few ballads that came out bigger and better than I really thought they were going to be, which is great. But for the most part, like Hey Baby and Shadows, the title track, just kind of flowed out of us. And it was, I had all smiles on my face when I was doing that session at Rockfield, because you could feel the record just coming along. It was, all of my favorites wrapped in to one,
Right.
and also me. So it was perfect.
Cool. Yeah, it sounded like you had fun. I mean, you could just hear it when somebody sings. You can just tell the energy and the excitement that they have when they're singing. Is that something that you're going to do again, like in that kind of rocking kind of mode? I mean, in that kind of field, or what? Do you stay in a certain, genre, so to speak, or what? Do you want to explore other things and sounds, or what do you got going on?
Well, we're going to keep in that genre for sure. I worked real hard to get here, so we're not going anywhere. More of that rock. I call it rock retro. So we're going to stay in that. I'm not doing a new album this year because I've been kind of back to back. Yet it seems like, oh gosh, I haven't done an album since 2019. But, again, we kind of got a hiccup on 2020, 2021. It wasn't really till 2022 that I could really start to kind of tour, show this album. So, I kind of feel like the album didn't really get the type of exposure it would have if there was under natural situation, but, natural circumstances or
Sure.
the norm. So we really, obviously everything changed for everybody's life, including the music business, including my life. So, we're going to keep touring off of this album. The new single, I will still release Shadows because it's my favorite. And then some of the ballads we're showcasing this year on the road. But I'm kind of moving in a true retro direction right now. Over the years, so many fans have been like, there's so many cuts off of the original two albums that I've never performed in over like 30 years. And they're right. So we've been kind of winking back to that. And this new show, which is called Retro Tonic, is kind of exactly that. Tiffany's Retro Tonic. We're going to go back to old school, deliver it kind of in a Eurythmics kind of vein, a little bit of, again, sassed up, but still keep that old school vibe to it. And of course, we'll highlight a few things from Shadows. But, I'm always writing in the studio now, especially that I have one. It's so much easier just to get those ideas out of your head. Before I was like in my phone all the time. Now we can go downstairs.
Right.
And having a bunch of creative musicians around me really helps. Again, just my cousin, she's only 20. She's doing an album here, which is amazing. She has a group called the Angels. And just to see that new perspective from young people, and they were totally educating me on people I've never heard of, which was embarrassing but cool. And just to see that light bulb on, it's like, and like they're not that, I really work with great people, and all the people I've met in my life have been amazing. So I can't say I've really been around bitter or jaded people or anything, but it's a business. We know more, it's different. We have a name to keep up with. It's like a little different perspective. Whereas when you're just developing something, you're wide open. There's no expectation except for what you put on yourself. So, that is so refreshing for me. And then my fiance, he does mostly like punk music, rock music, a lot of punk music, really. And again, to see the guys out there creating and stuff, it's like I'm taking myself and plugging myself in through all these other artists. And there's things going on in my head all the time, maybe not just for me, but as a writer, it's just flowing out of me now. So my notepad is full. And yeah, I want to maybe do an album at the end of the year. I'm most creative around my birthday time. And so I'm keeping them open mind about, right now I've got so much going on with Let's Zen My Friend, Let's Food with Tiffany, new cookbook coming out, the tour or mini clusters of shows going over to the UK, going over to Italy this year, going over to Germany this year, France. So branching out in places I haven't been or connected with my fans in quite a while. So we really want to do that on Retrotonic, this show. And that's kind of keeping me busy for a little bit. And then I'm strategically taking October, November and keeping it open for my birthday month, but also for the possibility to record a new album, which I think, definitely will be the next, you always hope, level of Shadows.
Sure. I believe it will be. Well, tell me this now. You're surrounded by all these artists, and like you said, some of them maybe you don't know, maybe you're not into, whatever's going on sometimes. I get lost sometimes in the mix. But are there some artists that you're thinking about writing songs? Have there been some artists you're thinking, I want to work with them. I want to write a song for them and do something with them. Is there anybody like?
For me, as a writer, as an experience, I would say John Elefante, from Kansas. It's amazing because when I heard he wasn't far from me, I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Hello. That's kind of how I felt this past weekend in Texas, being around these amazing songwriters, not just performers and bands and music that I love, but, just the opportunity with no pressure, no strings attached to, write a song and see where it comes along, the experience of that. Because I really admire them as songwriters. So, that's again, I'm strategically placed in Nashville for that reason, rather it be country, jazz, pop, rock, gosh, it could be anything, punk rock, I don't care. I just really want to create. I love that. I feel like this is my time to do that. And I have a whole city full of creative people. So I really want to take advantage of that this year. But yeah, again, there's, for me as a songwriter, again, there's a lot of young people that I'm meeting right now who are, developing their projects. And it's an honor to write with them. It's an honor to have, um, an impression on them. A lot of them are meeting me now going, but you're Tiffany, and I'm like, well, I am, and I have touring experience and I have pop star experience and I have a lot of experience, but as a songwriter, I'm still growing. I think that, Color of Silence showed my talent there, my heart there. Got great reviews and I haven't stopped since. But, I still have a lot of like challenges for myself, a lot of things that I want to do. And every time I get a chance to work with a new artist or do something out of the norm, or write for somebody, I look at it as a growing experience. I'm still learning. So, I'm one of these people that I believe life is about education and growing and, further learning. I don't think you ever really arrive, that's the point. So, I keep pushing myself. And it's really an honor to be able to watch these artists grow and to be a part of it.
Well, I think one of the main reasons is because you were that girl, in these videos back in the 80s. I think we're alone now. You're that young girl singing that song. You were one of them at one time starting out. So that's got to make you think about that. What do you think about when you're looking back at some of those old videos talking about retro? What do you think when you see yourself at that age, and what goes through your mind when you rewatch those videos?
Well, I look back and I think that, I was an adult. I knew what I was doing. But then, I like my niece is 9. She just turned 9, and that's effectively when I professionally got into the music industry, and I was opening up for Mickey Gilley and Johnny Lee and George Jones and Hoyt Axton, of course. He's the one who gave me my first start, my first break, um, in country music. So I look at her bebopping around my house, and I'm like, holy shit, I was a kid, like I was young. I didn't really take that in, I guess. Because it was something I wanted to do. I was never forced to do this. So I just kind of, my life has been on keep rolling forward, keep doing it, and having fun and just one big adventure. But yeah, when I look at my niece, I think of how young I started in the industry, how much, I've been in an adult world since I was a kid. And, I'm thankful for that. I don't think I ever missed out on my childhood, but it does trip me out. I can't say that it doesn't when you look at, how young you were and how I've grown up in the industry.
Right. It's been a while since those days. Not that, but you're still, 30. How is that happen?
Exactly.
Right. You don't age is what I'm saying. Um, but through all your career, there's ups and downs and things like that. And I know everybody goes through this, especially entertainers. Has there been a time where it all hit you? Maybe some of the years after that you were so huge and you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Or there's like a little voice going, no, don't do it. But you're like, yeah, I still want to do it. Have you battled that before?
I have. I really have. And I think that was at times in my career where I didn't know what to do next. It's always heartbreaking for anything that you do in life. Relationships onto new businesses, it's not just about being a musician. It's anything you pour your heart into and it doesn't work out, or, you see that you did it wrong. I mean, to, digest that, accept it, heal from that, all of it takes time. So, I've had those moments definitely in my life, where, and then I think maybe I kind of like just shut it down. I do that a lot. If I really don't know what to do next, that's when you'll see me kind of retreat into where did you go, But there's always something spinning with me. I've never really stopped, rather it be learning how to be a better mom, learning how to be a better friend, taking care of family members that passed away from cancer, addiction. It's all been a learning process that I think, and adventures, and life that ends up in my music. Definitely, eventually, it's music, especially writing, is my therapy. So I look at those times as when I thought nothing was going on, and I wasn't growing, and I wasn't doing anything in my career. Well, I really was. I was doing life, and art is very much that, especially if you're true to yourself, it's coming through you, and you're gathering from all your experiences. So again, as a songwriter, I didn't realize that all of these experiences would be what I wrote about, if only about my bodyguard and best friend passing away. A lot of the songs on Shadows are about getting divorced and finding new love and the complications of that, and looking at things differently, when you enter a relationship, because you're a little more broken down.
The things that you've been through, though, I mean, I think the big thing about that, especially if I listen, like I like to write songs and sing and stuff, but if for somebody to relate to what you're going through, to write something down, and you experienced all that energy, all that, the ups and the downs, the happy, the sad times. When you look back and remember all the hard times, you put it on some paper, and now somebody in the fifth row over there is looking at you singing those words. It has to just touch your heart. So somebody's relating. I think I've said it before. That's what it's all about. I think for to create something and somebody gets something out of it and makes them better. Is that right?
Well, I mean, it means a lot to me, of course, for people to say I'm an original fan from the mall tour, and I think we're alone now. It's my jam. I love all of that. But when they come to me and they say, pieces of me, your song that you wrote, of Bed of Nails, or, I mean, on and on and on. That means the world to me as a songwriter. Somehow we're connected as a person because you're understanding what I'm writing from my life. And I think that's something now that a lot of my fans, we don't really dwell on it, but when you do a meet and greet with me, a lot of people are shocked because I really do sit down in a chair and I really do hang out with you. I put all my crafty back there. I feed people, and I'm like, you want a coffee, you want tea, you want a glass of wine, what do you, we're going to meet and greet. So it's not an in and out process for me. And I mean, again, that's where I find my connection with my fans, but also where I also get to be, a looky-loo into people's lives to write songs as well. But we sit down, and when I hear that about my current music and about some of the girls going, oh my gosh, we did the mall tour together, and then I heard about your divorce, and I got a divorce too, and that song really speaks to me about finding myself as a person, or being brutally honest with myself, and how uncomfortable that is, or you're disappointed in some of the choices that you made, and you're holding yourself accountable for that, and there's a grieving process to that, but then there's a forgiveness process in that. It's that's a cool bond. I really love that. I love that I still think we're all just growing up together, doing life together.
Sure. Well, your music has been the soundtrack of lives for all these years, through the younger years. And then as you continued, people have listened to that and related it to their lives. So when they hear a song, they remember, not only they remember the hard times, but the number one thing, they remember that they overcame whatever that they went through, and they're still here to enjoy the song. So, I mean, there's so many things probably they've gone through. And I know you have too, so you probably look back on your life at some things and go, I'm proud of myself for surviving. There's some rough times, right?
Definitely. I mean, I think my early childhood, even before I was famous, just being a child of an alcoholic and having a lot of addiction issues around me from my family, who were amazing people. I love them, but, got caught up. I mean, and that really hurt their life. It hurt a lot of their relationships and who they wanted to be. So, I had all of that on my table before I even got into the music industry. And just that part of my life. And, if I look back, and as I was raising my son, and now, of course, he's 31, structural engineer, and, kind of on the other side of that, having an adult relationship, which is a whole different experience with your kid. It's like I look at that part of my life and I go, wow, I mean, I made it through, and I learned a lot from, not in a judgmental way, but I learned a lot from the brokenness. I learned a lot from my parents who, had to eventually, though they did get it together and they changed their life and they quit drinking, or, they changed their lives and the relationship. So took them a lot of time, but I did get to see the positive of that, positivity of that. But, again, just looking through that and realizing I made it through that, and I didn't follow in those footsteps. And what I learned from that, and then what I learned from recovery, seeing them recover and learn from that. So now you apply the music business to that with crazy managers and experiences and labels and all of that. I look at that early part of my life where I was fighting for my independence, fighting for my own voice, fighting to say, well, no, I want to be a songwriter. I, don't know if I'm going to write a hit, but I can tell you I want to be part of it. I want to write. I want to be in the room. I want to learn. I want to grow as a musician. This isn't a phone it in kind of situation for me. I want to be a better singer. I want to be an actress. I want to do all of these things that, like the people that I look up to, Bette Midler, Cher, Barbara Streisand, Stevie Nicks, like all of these people, who I feel have, been very successful, strong women on so many levels. So yeah, I always wanted the whole package. I always wanted the whole experience. And now I look at my life now and I'm still growing. And, I'm proud of myself for opening up all these other businesses and sticking with them. Let's Food with Tiffany. And now, arriving to a cookbook this year, working with Chef Alicia Chevatone out of Vegas. And, getting a bigger following, doing some stuff with Food Network, all of it, it's coming together. So, but it's like a new career. You have to be vulnerable. You have to work hard. You have to, learn, you have to fail, you have to do all of that. And I made a commitment to myself going, okay, well, I was a boutique owner in Nashville with Tiffany's Boutique for 2 or 3 years, opened up 2 boutiques and wasn't doing the music industry, wasn't really touring, not because I wasn't, I just wasn't, you
Right.
know. And I was enjoying that and learned that business after my father died. I had no experience, but jumped in there with 2 feet because, there's no time like the present, kind of thing. And I think that was my dad passing away. And I could hear him going, partner, get in there. He was old army. So, you got to do it. And I did. And now it's like I'm connecting the dots again with, I love fashion and I love music and I love holistic medicine. I love food and music together. It really connects people. And definitely it was my savior, in insanity saver for sure in COVID, sharing with my fans recipes from my grandmother and my mom and my aunt and all these different people who passed away that I was missing so much, and feeling so vulnerable and so lost, of course. But they had never been through anything like that either. But, just having them around, I would have felt more comfortable. And that wasn't possible. So I started doing food. I started doing my grandma's mashed potatoes and gravy and comfort foods. And it made me feel connected. And then I started sharing it with my fans more and more and developed the cooking club. And once all of that was open up again and we could tour the world and, things got back to somewhat normal, I just decided I don't want to give these things up. I mean, there's really something here for me. This is another side to me. And I want to go to the next level and have my own cookbook line and kind of do it all, And now, again, like I said, Let Zen My Friend, holistic retreats and connecting all the dots, all the things that I learned and kept me healthy or, again, kept me sane in COVID. I'm a doer, if you can't tell. So sitting in one spot was like, but even then I learned something, so that's kind of what I'm doing this year is connecting all the dots.
And how cool is that? Not that you need to rely on a backup, so to speak. You always be a singer, but having all these different adventures, like you're talking about with the cooking and the different product lines you got going on. I mean, it's just so cool, and people probably, that's another thing you encourage people for because they're into those things. They love to
Right.
cook too. They love to listen to you. They love to cook. They love all these different things that you do. So they're going, I can do that, and so you showing somebody how to cook and what you do, it excites people, right? So what is your go-to meal? Speaking of cooking, what's something that you say, I nail that dish? That's a good dish.
Oh, well, I'm Lebanese. My father's side is full-blooded Lebanese. So my Lebanese chicken dish, which has been published in Cook Like a Rock Star, the cookbook there, but also it's on my Instagram. I pop it up all the time and put up the recipe because I want people to try my food. Um, I hated meatloaf as a kid. So, but I found a meatloaf and made a meatloaf I like, and it's real simple. So that's up there as well. You can get the recipe there. My angel cookies, of course, I had a angels all around single this year for Christmas.
Good
And
song. Great.
better than to, we were snowed in most times here in Nashville. And I thought, what better than to do an Angel's, cookie recipe? So that's up there as well. The cooking club gets most of my recipes. It's $15 for the month, and we Zoom together, and they get behind the scenes music, and they get to travel the world with me. And like I said, mostly they get to Zoom with me in all the private areas in my home and things like that. So it is something that's different from being out there on social media. And they're like my foodie family, and I love that. And they get all my recipes. I pop up recipes there all the time. And but like I said, it's been, for me, it's mashed potatoes and gravy if I'm not feeling good or I'm a little low. If you see me eating mashed potatoes and gravy, uh-oh, she's a little sad today.
Look out. You're not going to be throwing them at people, are you?
To go to would be congee, my congee recipe, which I just made this morning. And that is just a recipe that I learned when I was traveling overseas. It's a Chinese recipe, actually, from way back, I think in the Ming Dynasty, way back, old school rice porridge, basically. And when you have it in places like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, they just kind of give you the rice porridge, which is just rice and water and a little bit of salt. And then they have like an open bar of everything, dried fish, all kinds of toppings. I mean, you can make it sweet, you can make it whatever you want. And that's my favorite to go to. It really is. I just made it this morning. I do mine spicy, of course, with the chili paste, my onion, my cilantro, and I put chicken in mine. So and there's also congee with chicken as well. So I always love the chicken broth and the whole pieces of chicken in mine. But that's really what I my go-to, But I cook everything. I cook stuff as I travel. That's what I do. I make another day in my travels from wherever I'm at, especially if I'm international. This year was learning a lot of French food because I was in France, and we were filming for my pilot, really, of my cooking show. I've learned in today's world, you just got to take it, do it yourself, and then present it all to everybody. People aren't the same, as companies don't just partner with you and throw money at you and go, okay, so you kind of have to do it again, your own EPK, if you will, and your own, what you think you would look like, and hope that they can see a vision. So that's what I've been doing this past year and this year. And French food is on the horizon for me. So I'm learning a lot. I'm not a dairy person, really. So these cheeses they're working me. I don't like to taste too many if they stink and they taste kind of hard. But, I'm working it.
It's going to be okay. Well, I'm the same way, believe me. Man, so many things going on. And I know all your fans can find more about it on your website, right? And where do they go to?
For all things TIFF World, our retreats coming up, the cooking stuff that we've got going on, the cookbook details, how to join Patreon, all of it. Most importantly, shows, which we're going to branch out, like I said, in Germany, France, Italy, and UK this year. They're all being posted now in the next couple of weeks, which is exciting. Of course, my American shows as well. And then whatever we've got behind the scenes from the studio going on, and just all things TIFF World, really, tiffanytunes.com.
Awesome. Well, you need to come to South Alabama, like to Mobile or something, or maybe to Pensacola or something, and I can go to one of these. Not that I wouldn't travel to one of your shows. I'm just saying, but maybe somebody out there needs to book you,
I really
right?
do. My goddaughter might be moving to Alabama. So if that happens, she's still a young girl. I will be in your space.
Hey. Well, there you go. Hey, before I let you go, I gotta throw some corniness out there. Has anybody ever took you to another room? It's like it's crowded in here. I want to talk to you. They go to another room. They look around. They say, "I think we're alone now." There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Have they ever done that?
Well, I don't know if they've ever took me into another room. That's kind of weird, and people probably wouldn't let them do that.
Yeah.
But
I would hope.
I mean, they've definitely used that line a lot. Which I always laugh. I always go, well, yeah, I think we are. My biggest thing has been, again, I'm always with my staff now, which is just my sister and my brother-in-law. I have a small staff, but they're Team Tiff. And so, I'm always like, take my picture, please. So it's not just me taking selfies, because the girl who sings I Think We're Alone Now doesn't really need to always be alone doing all her own stuff, man. Okay, that's kind of sad. So, I mean, that's my pet peeve. It's like, here I am alone again. But, I've had fun with it. It's very strange sometimes, though, when people want to take me and tell me about, um, their children and how that song was playing in the background when we were in the back of the car. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to know all
Too
this.
much information. TMI. You probably get a lot of that though, and I know people don't mean a lot of stuff sometimes, but sometimes there are some people that are kind of rude. Do you ever get anybody? I know you do, because I know I do. Uh, People that are mean and say stuff. Do you ever take that to heart, or you try to block it out if somebody says something mean about you and whatever,
Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just wonder why people make the comments or say the things they say. You're like, so just didn't need to be said, but okay, since you did. If it's in person, usually I'm pretty quick-witted. So I hope that I'm never rude or snap back or bitchy or anything like that. But I might say something, a little funny, a little off the cuff, right back at you. And if it's on social media, I really do have, like, my hand starts to shake and I want to like respond, and then I never do. And I might delete your comment if I feel it's very rude. And especially if it's against my fans of any kind, I won't have that. They're all my community. I love all of them and they're all welcome. So, I mean, we're all in it together, guys. If COVID didn't teach you that, then I don't know what will. So, I mean, and I have a community of diversity, and I love that. I love everybody that's there, but we have to respect each other. That's the one thing that I, hope we don't have to all agree, but we have to respect each other. So, I will delete your comment if it's rude. And, and sometimes, yeah, I stop myself from giving my 2 cents, but I just
mm,
think it fuels the fire. I mean, whatever. People are allowed to say what they feel, and I'm allowed to delete it. So there you go.
yeah, it's it's like just delete, delete, delete. No big deal.
My
But
biggest problem is scammers. There's so many people pretending to be me.
hey,
With
oh,
like
there's a lot.
everybody. So,
I
yeah.
know it on Instagram. Like if I liked one of your, photo or commented on one of them, somebody like the fake Tiffany will show up and go, "Hey, this is my backup chat thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're not Tiffany. I know Tiffany. That's not."
No,
Why do you think? Because I'm gonna
that's
fall for this, you know?
we don't text people for money. We don't do, so I mean, and again, there's my community, there's my fans. I love them to death. They always give us a heads up. And as soon as they do, I had one this morning and right away I posted it and said, guys, this is not me. There's no team reaching out to you guys for anything. If we did, we'd make it very public. And we put together a little campaign like the cooking club right now. I'm going to be asking people for their favorite, mostly international community. Sorry, guys, for us domestics, but for the international community and my fans, what was your comfort food? What was your to-go food? What was your after-school special food? Because that's what the cookbook is about. Is it's taking comfort food, taking our 80s after-school special foods and making them zhuzhed up. I call it zhuzhed up, but making them
Girl,
party and making them look really cool,
okay.
and add a little bit of something, something to the simplest of foods that we all have in our fridge and cupboards. It's not about expense, it's just about how we display it, and maybe those little new ingredients that you didn't think about. So that's what Chef and Alicia and I are doing. She, of course, is banging it out with her Vegas style. And I wanted to do more of an international take on, and some of the section of the cookbook for that, because I thought that's really cool. Like congee, I know is a real popular dish anytime, morning, noon, or night. It's just a comfort food. So I thought, well, there's got to be tons of sandwiches. I know for the UK and for all my British, friends and fans and family, sausage rolls, all of these things. That's what you go to, and they're easily made. And And that's, that's your comfort food. That's your jam. So that's what I'm doing now. But we would always post that professionally and engage people and let them know, rather than these secret chat things that are going on behind closed doors.
Well, here's somebody made a fake account of mine. I was kind of, flattered, maybe I've made it right. So I made a little post, and I could have said something like, if somebody comes to your page and asks for money, it probably is me, because I'm broke and I need some money. No, I'm kidding. No, but I mean that. I don't know. I guess that means you made it. If somebody is out there scamming, they're trying. It's wrong, but
that is part of that, is that people are watching, and the more that you're, in the limelight for whatever reason that minute, people, you're going to have the other side of that. You're going to have people that, are in your business, or want to be you, or, want to have a to say, say about your life, or, their opinion or whatever. So yeah, I mean, that's part of the deal.
it comes along with the whole package of being famous. And hey, but look at all the millions of people that love you, and forget all the negative whatever and weirdos, and just leave them in their weird space. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate all my fans and all the new fans that are coming. And, I mean, it's like I'm living life. Like, I mean, it's just, I kind of roll with it. I tour so much, and we try to, like, have everything right, and Zooms and all of that. But sometimes it's like, oop, flat tire, stuck on the side of the road. Show must go on. Turn on the camera. Whatever I've got to do, let's just do it from here. Like today with this wonderful curtain behind me. But it is what it is. I think, more importantly, just live, enjoy, connect, and you'll find your tribe. You'll find where it's meant to be.
There you go. Well-spoken words by Tiffany. Well, thank you for talking with me today, and I've enjoyed every second. I'm glad you're okay. You didn't get snowed in somewhere. I'm glad you and John Elefante hung out. I'm glad you got music. I really enjoyed the Christmas song, by the way. I didn't tell you earlier, that song. So that's just a sign of things to come. I think that's showing you really know how to touch people in the way you sing and how the words flow. I'm just saying. And I think in the future, it's going to be awesome. And I'm looking forward to it. And I thank you. And maybe I'll run into you somewhere. You got to come to Alabama, though.
For sure. Like I said, if my goddaughter moves there, I'm going to be on it. She's close to me then. She's in California now, but, she'll need a second mama there.
Well, it is written. There you go. Well, thanks a lot. We'll do this again one day, and maybe that album will be coming out this fall or winter, or you'll be working on it, and we'll talk about it or something.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, you have a great afternoon, and God bless you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you too. Take care, Gary. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody, to another episode. Yeah, Tiffany, an awesome lady, very talented. So fun to talk to her, and she's got a lot going on this year. And check her out on tour near you. Go to her website for more information. And thanks for staying with me today, and look forward to you being with me again for another episode in the future. Yeah, and I'm going to be right here keeping the music real. See you next time, everybody.